The Talksport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the Talksport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search Talksport Fan Network.
Welcome everybody back to Cherry Picking, and thank you for joining us. Now, before we get going, hit the like, subscribe, the bell button below. It helps this channel to grow. Now, of course, it wouldn't be Cherry Picking if I didn't have my main man next to me, Mr. Matthew Harrison. How are you doing, Matt?
Yeah, well, good, Craig. International break now. You know, never the most exciting of times, is it? But yeah. Looking forward to the Premier League coming back eventually. Well, we've got the Cup semi-final first, haven't we?
We have, yes.
But yeah, looking forward to getting this international break out of the way and cracking on with the season.
I'll be honest, I don't even know who we've got. And I know that sounds awful, but, you know, that is obviously Albania is one.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's Albania because... You know, I saw that earlier on Chris's Leicester Till I Die channel. He had the thumbnail up all ready to do his watch along. So he does. But who the other one is against, I don't know. I don't even see. This is what internationals mean to me. Yeah, when we get to the World Cup or the Euros, yeah, go into friendly. But you know, it's just one of those periods, and especially towards the end of the season, but it's probably come at a good time, actually. It's probably come at a good time, hasn't it, Matt?
Yeah, to be fair, I think, well, some of the players that probably could have done with a break have gone on international duty anyway, haven't they? So,
we'll cover that.
Yeah, we'll cover that off a little bit later.
No problem. Well, I'll tell you what, let's start off with our regular feature, and that is Guess the Cherry. So, Matt, take it away then, please.
This week's Guess the Cherry then, signed from Crystal Palace, was a very talented left back with a good eye for goal from a set piece. He represented Huddersfield, Portsmouth, Swindon, Aldershot, amongst a host of other clubs, and he was included in the Football League Second Division PFA Team of the Year, 1998 to 99.
Who is he? Who is he? Answers down below. But I think I've got an idea, but I'm not going to say at this moment in time because that would just absolutely ruin it, wouldn't it, really?
Yeah, probably would kind of defeat the idea of the game if you gave it away now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But I tell you what, let's talk firstly about Iraola and this international break.
Yes, let's do it. Yeah, let's talk. He's been quoted in the papers, isn't he, as you know, looking at it from a positive angle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And I think we need to, because there's a lot of players that are looking very fatigued. There's a lot of players that, have got injuries still ongoing. I think there's some players that have got injuries that we don't actually know about at this moment in time. And the medical team are working their hardest not to really for those to have an effect on the side. So, yeah, we have to use it positively, but it's also not just recuperation is that the word? Recuperation? I can't pronounce that. I really can't. But the thing is I think that this is an opportunity as well for Iraola to look at what we need to do differently. Like we saw against Brentford, like we saw against Brighton, those two Bs, and of course one of them is nicknamed the Bs, really shone a light that maybe some managers are starting to understand exactly what Iraola is doing. They're starting to counteract. You probably remember when I turned around and said, we are good enough now to dictate games. We've got enough quality to dictate games. Whereas when under Eddie Howe, we had to um, had to put a stop to other teams playing that way. We had to be a bit reactive rather than proactive, mainly because the standard of the players, and this is no disrespect to the team back then, was probably a little bit less than where it is now. Um, that's again, like I say, no disrespect to any of the players because they were legends for getting us here in the first place. But the problem is I think that sides have understood how to counteract the way we're playing a little bit. So maybe this is what Iraola needs to do: is look at what we can do and change things up differently. What do you think on that front, Matt?
Yeah, I think he's going to use the time with what members of the squad have stayed, not gone on international duty. I think he's obviously going to, invest his time with them and kind of look at what has gone wrong the last sort of few games. And I think a big thing for me is, being, clinical. I think really when you look back over the last few games, I mean, you go
Yeah.
back to the Spurs game and, we had opportunities there to, be 2-0 up within the first 5 minutes, which would have made the game a completely different game. We'd have probably walked away with, the 3 points. And when you look back at the Brentford game, I suppose some players look fatigued, but the problem is with international breaks is that, if you are selected, it's hard to say no to an international call up, isn't it? I mean, you look at
Yeah.
Christie, he's a massive asset for Scotland, and Steve Clarke wants him in the squad, and of course Christie wants to be in the squad. It's his chances of having more caps and representing your country. But when you got an injury like Christie, from our perspective, our selfish perspective, we want to wrap him up in cotton wool for a week and a half and manage his training and help him out with that injury that he's carrying. We're just praying to God that he doesn't aggravate anything. I mean, I don't think he's pulled out of the Scotland squad. I haven't seen anything
No.
that he has. But yeah, we're just praying that he comes back unscathed, because obviously he's a massive part of our midfield. So it's a difficult time, isn't it? I mean, you're losing. I mean, the work you can do on the training pitch is not necessarily changed, but probably altered in some respects because you haven't got your full squad in. And then the players that you do lose, that you just pray that come back in good shape. But I think from looking at it on the field, from on the pitch perspective, I think he's going to be, reviewing probably these last sort of few games and looking at, where we do need to improve, which, I think for me is being more clinical at times. I thought we passed the ball around a lot more against Brentford as we were getting into the opposition half, and especially when we're getting in around the box. I thought it was, we were finding difficult to sort of penetrate that Brentford defence. And,
Yeah.
I thought I would like to have seen some more shots, like we have done, from the edge of the box and that this season. And, we have scored. And, I know we got unlucky a couple of times, but I just think, if I was Andoni, I'd be looking at more, how do we make ourselves more clinical on the pitch? I think
Yeah.
that's because if you concede, you concede 2 goals, but you can win the game by scoring 3. It's quite simple. It's not rocket science, is it? So, I
Mhm.
mean, the more clinical you are, the better. And I think that's probably one of his frustrations over sort of the last few games.
And I think when we first come into the Premier League all those years ago, that was one of our key attributes, is that we were clinical. We can all remember the game at Upton Park, where we were very, very clinical in that first win
Yeah,
in the Premier League. We can all remember that Liverpool win. We can remember the Everton draw. You know, all these games, we were very, very clinical in, and that used to be a mantra of Eddie Howe, was that we would go out and outscore the other team. We knew that we didn't have the quality and we didn't have the strength. Again, no disrespect of other sides who were very, very established. Of course, you look at the likes of Man United, were actually fairly decent at that point. You had Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea. You name them. Of course, Leicester come flying through as well at one point. So you've got to kind of, you know, I think that's something that maybe we are lacking a little bit more now than we did in the past, which is a bit strange to say, because I think that the side overall is a lot stronger. I think Evan Nielsen is a very, very strong forward. I think he's, without a shadow of a doubt, he can. He kind of is on, if not surpasses what Callum Wilson's level was. But the problem is where is it going wrong? Why are we not, getting as many goals as, and outscoring other teams? Are we being a little bit more conservative now? So there is that. I would say as well, when touching upon the international break, and with Ryan Christie in particular. Of course, he wants to play for Scotland. He is, a key part of their, and there's a real pride with Scottish footballers to actually go and play for their country. There always has been with Scottish footballers, maybe more so than there has been with England players, maybe more so than there has been with a lot of nations around the world. But I don't know if you remember back in, when we started watching football in the Premier League, you know, we all know Sir Alex Ferguson, and what a, he used to kick up a storm when players used to be called up for their country when he felt that they weren't fit, that they needed a rest, that they needed some time, or if they had a nagging injury. We don't see that so much anymore from the current crop of managers. People used to whinge all the time. You used to see it all the time in the Sun newspaper, that them whinging about Sir Alex Ferguson. But when now we're in this position and we're not really, you know, we're not kind of on the outskirts, in bobbing between Division 2 and Division 3. We've got this side that is so strong, and we want to make sure that our players are playing at full pelt for the rest of the season for AFC Bournemouth. You can kind of understand where he was coming from all along, can't you?
yeah, no, yeah, I do get that, but you know, I always say put yourself in the footballer's shoes, and
Mm,
it's an honour to represent your country, isn't it? And
yeah.
you don't want to say no because we be in the next squad. It's you've got to
Yes.
keep your international manager happy as well as your club manager. But yeah, when you get players
Mm,
that do carry these niggles, and you know that they're trying their best to see their way through the season, and then they go away, and you think, well, you could have stayed here and probably rested up a bit more, and
mm,
had some more rest time. But you can't really tell a footballer, can you? If they want to
no.
represent the country, they represent the country. But just fingers crossed, our crop of players that we have got out all come back nice and fit and raring to go.
To be honest, with it in mind, we have only got one player that is going on a long haul flight. For in the, I think in during this international break, but no doubt you will correct me in a moment, but there we are. We'll come on to the players that are going to be cherries abroad. And yeah, there will be another video coming up with Cherry Abroad very, very soon as well, where, I show my travels to the Ajax Stadium. There's already the shorts up, but yeah, the video will be up as well. Plus, keep your eyes peeled because there will be more of me gallivanting around the world eventually. But I tell you what, let's talk about something a little bit closer to home, and that is the keeper speculation continuing, isn't it?
Yes, by the looks of it.
Yep. So I shall go through and I'll read this out. So Bournemouth are confident of beating Big Six clubs to sign Liverpool goalkeeper Kelleher this summer. The Republic of Ireland international wants to leave Anfield to get first team football and may have played his last game in Sunday's Carabao Cup final. Chelsea, Tottenham, and Carabao winners Newcastle are also interested. Bournemouth are ready to move first, however, putting them in pole position as manager Andoni Iraola has made signing a goalkeeper a priority, with Kelleher his top target. Iraola has used on loan goalkeeper Kepa Azabalaga for most of the season, but there is no obligation to buy in the loan contract with Chelsea, and his performances have been mixed. The Spaniard was dropped by Iraola earlier in the season for another young Irish goalkeeper, Mark Travers, who is now on loan at Middlesbrough. With regards, Kelleher has a big improvement on both his current goalkeepers and has asked Bournemouth to move quickly when the transfer window opens in June. Chelsea have also expressed interest but will not commit to making a bid at this stage. Boss Enzo Maresca wants to back his current goalkeepers Robert Sanchez and Philip Jorgensen, despite the doubts of others at Stamford Bridge. Tottenham's goalkeeping position is also unclear, with Vicario, Fraser Forster, and Antoine Kinski all being used by Ange Postecoglou this season. And while Newcastle want an extra goalkeeper, and like Kelleher, the club's PSR problems may not be able to meet Liverpool's £30 million asking price. Bournemouth may be able to offer European football, as Iriola's side currently ninth in the Premier League, but Kelleher does not regard that as essential. Kelleher's priority is securing a move to a Premier League club that can provide regular first team appearances after his career has stalled at Anfield through no fault of his own. The 26-year-old has played 17 matches so far this season, but has been restricted to appearances in the Carabao Cup and FA Cup since Alisson Becker returned from a hamstring injury in December. Liverpool are aware of Kelleher's frustrations and will not stand in his way. Onslaught has already signed Kelleher's replacement, with Georgian international Georgi Mamadashvili due to arrive from Valencia at the end of the season. And also, Bournemouth are to tussle with clubs to sign Stoke City player as well. So this is another goalkeeper that has been linked. And let's have a little look at this. So, AFC Bournemouth and Como want to sign Stoke City goalkeeper Victor Johansson in the summer window. That's according to Sport Blade, who cover Bournemouth and Como interest in a player that Stoke City would like to retain. Last summer, the Sweden international joined Stoke City from Rotherham United and has been the first choice stopper for the Potters. Johansson has kept 12 clean sheets and conceded 53 goals from 40 matches this season. His contract lasts till 2027, but the report states that the 26-year-old could leave Stoke City in the next window. Bournemouth and Como have identified him as a target. The report states that both clubs are keen on securing his services in the summer and have informed Stoke City the Italian club's interest isn't new, as they made an offer in the winter market which was not entertained by the Championship side. They are 20th in the table, a point above 22nd placed Derby County. Stoke City would prefer not to sell Johansson, but that may not prevent Bournemouth, Como, or any other club from making an attempt for him. Andoni Iraola currently has Kepa Arrizabalaga on loan from Chelsea as the first choice stopper for Bournemouth. The Spaniard is set to return to his parent club, and the Chelseas will have to find a replacement for him. Very, 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 very interesting, this. Now, my honest opinion, I don't blame the club if they're not going to entertain Kepa. They're not going to entertain keeping Kepa on board. Firstly, it's going to be a large cost. He's on a very, very large wage at Chelsea. And, the cost is really prohibitive. However, what I am quite excited about, and I think this is more with Victor Johansson than it is Kelleher, because Kelleher would want to come here and be number one. Johansson may be willing to wait a little bit for his chance. Why are we not using Mark Travers? Mark Travers, I think, is a very, very decent. He's a season stopper, and I said the other day as well, there's things that have happened in these previous two matches that Mark Travers would get spot on that Kepa hasn't got right. That could have been the difference between potentially 6 points and what we have got, which is 1. So, yeah, I'm actually more excited about Johansson coming on board as maybe a backup to Mark Travers than Kelleher coming in to be number one and then losing Mark Travers completely. Because Mark Travers is he's not gonna stay here much longer being number 2. He's good enough to actually be a number 1 somewhere. So he's a Premier League goalkeeper. It's just we need to start playing him. The biggest problem is he can't play out from the back, and that is probably what has stalled him. But we've said that before. Kepa can play out from the back, but at the same time, he's costing us points. So, what do you think, Matt? Which one are you more excited about of these two?
It's a good question because
There's 2 scenarios, really.
yes, it is, and I keep reverting myself back to the Mark Travers, argument where he has played a blinder. Like the games against Villa and City earlier on in the season. He's not doing too badly at Borough at the minute. Seen a few highlights and the odd save here and there, and I think they're interested in the player, aren't they?
Yeah, they do.
Go up. I think he would probably be on their shopping list for definite. Kelleher, for me, I do like the keeper. I think he's a talented keeper. I really do. But if he was to come in, yeah, it would spell, I think, the end for Mark, because obviously they both compete at international as well. It'd be quite surprising if they were to compete together, club as well as international. Again, this is just speculation. I mean, we've been linked to quite a few goalkeepers, haven't we, recently, which I think we've discussed on here. I don't really know much about Stoke's keeper. I'll be completely honest. I don't know much about him. All that I know is I think he was a summer signing, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
I've read that he's apparently he's been playing well, and quite a few clubs have kind of monitored him over the season. But again, yeah, would he want to come here though? Does any goalkeeper want to move when they're playing consistently to come here as a number 2? Can you see him actually coming here as a number 1? I don't know. On that one. Kelleher, on the other hand, I could see him coming in here as a number 1. But I'm just trying to remember. I've seen him play quite a few times for Liverpool, like on TV and stuff. I'm just trying to remember if he's quite handy and nippy with his feet. I think he is. From what so I think he would fit into the playing style. 30 million. It's probably not a bad price tag, but then again, Liverpool have always got a knack of getting decent money for players. You know, when you look back over time, especially off us, you know, your obviously your Doms and your Brad Smiths and your Jordan Ives and that, they made decent money off those players. So, so 30 million to be fair for him, I think's a fair price.
But I wouldn't do it, Matt. I wouldn't do it. I think Mark deserves his chance.
Yeah,
He
but the problem
deserves
is if
his
it doesn't suit if he doesn't suit the style of play, is it a case that he's going to stay as a backup? And like you say, he won't stay here as a backup for much longer because he's gone off elsewhere. Previously on loan, and for us in the Championship, he was our number one, and that's so he's proven that he can be a number one. I think he's Premier League ready now. A couple of years ago, I don't think he was, but now I think he's Premier League ready. So, I think he will have a career in the Premier League, but if he's not rated with his feet by the manager, and that's how the manager wants to play, then is he actually going to be, having a serious chance of being the number one? Quite possibly not. Would he be my number one? Yeah, he would. But then again, I like playing out from the back. So,
yeah,
it's one of them, isn't it? This is the thing is when, we talk about, speculation here and there, I mean, everyone talks about speculation, don't they? But, this is very much, where's the club going with this? What kind of player does Andoni feel that will fit in the squad? We can speculate and debate and, as much as we want, but, I believe they're having a meeting around Easter, aren't they? I think it was what Bill Foley said, that they were going to look at the current crop, the squad, and what they need to bring in. And maybe potentially ones that they may ship out. So I imagine the goalkeeping department is going to be heavily spoken about, because obviously if Kepa does go back to Chelsea and doesn't have a desire to come here on a permanent transfer, then that is going to leave, a very vacant position that's going to need filling. And, all current crops of keeper that's part of the squad and at the club at the minute will all be spoken about, and it's going to be quite interesting to see how these develop. But I mean, out of the two, for me, I think Kelleher. I think if I was going to go with one, but that's me being biased because I've seen him play more than I've seen the other guys. So difficult one. It is a difficult one. I think long term, Iraola would prefer Kepa. I think long term to stay. I think he suits the style of play. In fairness to Kepa, I know there's been a few things, that he's been slated quite a bit lately, and I know we've spoken about things, from the Tottenham game and Brentford, this, that, and the other. But prior to those two games, I thought Kepa's come on leaps and bounds. And the goalkeeping position is always such a critical position, isn't it? That goalkeepers get so easily judged sometimes, don't they? In fairness, I mean, stick yourself in a goalkeeper's position. Would you want to play in goal?
Well, I have in the past, but I tell you what, whenever you make a mistake, it's resulting in you conceding. So it's one of the most critical positions on the pitch. I tell you what, I'll throw another spanner in the works though. Here, right? We've forgotten something. And maybe the media have forgotten something. We've got Kelleher, at Liverpool. Okay, very, very good goalkeeper. Like you say. Personally, I want to see Mark Travers get the nod. Kelleher's not going to come here as number two. Johansson, I think, possibly would do. Behind Mark Travers, so I'd probably prefer him. But I tell you one man that we could get hold of, or there is a possibility from a relegated team or a team that will be relegated at the end of the season. You know where I'm going with this, don't you?
And that's been speculated as well. So
take Rambo back.
would I be disgruntled at that? No, not at all. I was, I loved Rambo when he was here first time round.
Yeah.
And I felt he was very unlucky that season when he
Mm.
became the number one Rambo. I thought it was, he was unfortunate that year. And to be fair, isn't he going to be like the first goalkeeper to have 3 Premier League relegations on his CV, which is something that he's going to want to change quick. He's obviously in the England squad again, which is good to see, considering he has let in quite a lot of goals this season.
He's had a lot of practice, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's probably picked the ball out of the net more times than he's managed to par many away. But it's good to see that he's back in the England squad, and I definitely would welcome Rambo back with open arms. And again, pretty decent with his feet, can play out from the back.
Exactly.
He's quite confident with his feet. So yeah, maybe, who knows? Maybe that's the route they're going. Maybe they know that's the route they're going already. And all this is just purely speculation, and none of these keepers that we've spoken about over the last few weeks will ever be in a Bournemouth shirt. Who knows?
Well, that would be my number one choice. If I had it, bring back Rambo. Absolutely love Rambo to bits. I think, he's a good goalkeeper. Like you say, very, very unlucky the season he went down with us. Of course, it was COVID season as well. I don't think he really did anything wrong at all, in a Bournemouth shirt. And it's just such a shame that I was gutted for him when it didn't work out at Arsenal. Of course, Sheffield United, I thought it was always going to be risky, and Southampton, to be honest, I think he was just trying to get first team football.
Bizarre move. I always thought it was a bizarre move. And it
Mm,
was purely the first team football. Plus, he loves living down this way, doesn't he? So, that might be the pull for him to come back to Dean Court. But time would tell, won't it? But
well, fingers crossed, fingers crossed.
I
But
do tell you also go on after you.
Well, I tell you what we can do in a second is we need to give a shout out to our
Yeah.
sponsors as well. So our sponsors, Touchpoint Telecoms, the sponsors of our Canva, do get in contact with Mark and the team from Somerset to Wiltshire, from Berkshire to Dorset, Devon to Cornwall. That's not very far, mind, but his company will cover all your business telecoms needs. So go to touchpointtelecoms.co.uk, and if you need your teeth done, I might need my teeth done. Actually, I ain't got bad teeth, to be fair. But if you do need your teeth done, you can go to Dental on the Banks. Go to dentalonthebanks.co.uk and take a watch of this, and you might even spot Semenyo getting his done. There we go. So do get in contact with the guys. If you want to sit in the same chair as Semenyo and Phil Billing and Josh King and all the rest of them, Ryan Fraser's possibly been there, but yeah, we don't talk about him. Anyway, moving swiftly on. So let's talk about an injury. Unfortunately, Dental on the Banks can't do much about a hamstring, but Lewis
Yeah.
Sinisterra's picked one up.
Yeah, it's a shame. I think it's the same hamstring again as well that kept him out for, I think it was about 4 months this season he's been out for, wasn't he, with the hamstring injury. I think when we saw him limp off, I think I said the way he was holding, the back of his leg there, and I said straight away to you and my brother, I said that looks like a hamstring, and unfortunately it is. They reckon it's about a 3 centimeter higher or lower than the last tear or injury he had on it.
Jeez.
So it's definitely the same muscle. So he's withdrawn from the Colombia squad, and he's now back on the treatment table, which is a real shame because Sinisterra, I don't think we've seen the best of him. We've seen some good stuff from him, but I think there's a much better player there than which, unfortunately due to injury we've not been able to see. I think he's a great option from the bench. I think he's a great option to start. Whether he starts or whether he comes off the bench and makes an impact, he's always looking dangerous. I remember the Everton away game. Real impact there. It's just, and for the player as well, it must be mentally draining to get yourself back fit again. You're back involved in the squad, and then you have a tear in the same muscle that you just recovered from. It must be really demoralizing from the players' perspective. But obviously we wish him all the best, a speedy recovery.
Yes.
But unfortunately, a big loss.
I think that him coming on when he did against Brentford was the right move, to be honest, from Andoni Iraola. Unfortunately, when you see a player come on and then go off after 20 minutes, there's an obvious reason. Like you say, it was. You told me straight away. Yeah, it looks like it's a hammy, and a hamstring injury is never good. So it's a shame for him that he's going to be missing from the Colombia team. Of course, it would have been a lot of travelling for him. But at the same time, there is he seems to be one of the mainstays in that side, and I'm sure he's a bit gutted. I'm guessing Jefferson's in the team, the Colombia team.
No idea, to be honest with you, but
I haven't
I'd
even
imagine,
looked, to be honest.
I'd imagine he possibly is.
Yeah.
Mr. Lerma. Yeah, I'd imagine he is. I don't know for fact though, but
Yeah. This is gutting though, because I really do like Sinistera, and I think if you are chasing a game like we were the other day, you put him on the left hand side and he can really tear it up. He is a good player. He likes cutting it on the inside. He's fast. Let's be honest, he did it for Leeds, time and time again when he was with them as well. So I agree. We haven't seen the best of him, but what we have seen of him is exciting. All we need now is no injuries. But unfortunately, there's not much he can do about that. I'm sure he doesn't want to be on the treatment table as well. So, yeah, we wish him all the very, very best and a speedy recovery. But I'll tell you what, let's talk about one man who has been called up to the national team of Spain. Of course, the European champions at the moment. Dare we remember that game during last summer? But of course, you've got to be good to play in the Spanish lineup. Let's be fair. And Dino has achieved it. So I'm going to read through this. So Bournemouth centre-back Dean Huijsen has been called up by Spain for the first time for the up-and-coming Nations League quarter-final tie against the Netherlands, confirmed by La Roja. The 19-year-old has been included in the squad as a replacement for Barcelona's Inigo Martinez, who suffered a knee injury in the 4-2 win against Atletico Madrid. There were high expectations that Huijsen would get his maiden senior call-up following his breakout season with the Cherries. Howson joined Bournemouth from Juventus last summer for around 18 million euros and has since hit the ground running. He has developed into one of the best young defenders in the Premier League, making 25 appearances this season. Howson has been instrumental in Bournemouth's impressive form and their quest for Champions League qualification, forming a solid defensive partnership with Ilya Zabani. The former Juventus star's meteoric rise has also turned the heads of top European clubs who are battling to sign him this summer. Howson has represented the Dutch national team at various youth levels and then the Spanish under-21 side. So, Dean Huijsen has been called up by Spain. It's interesting, and it's against the Netherlands as well. So he was playing. I think he was born in the Netherlands, wasn't he? And then he's playing against them.
Yeah. No, Denmark.
Yes, of course he was.
Denmark. Yeah, he's got Danish caps, isn't he? At youth level, I think, if I remember rightly. Yeah, I mean,
no, actually, I'll tell you what. I've just done a Wikipedia search. He was born in the city that I was in just a couple of weeks back.
Oh, it is.
So
Dutch.
Amsterdam, yeah. So it is the Dutch.
Right.
He probably has got Danish in him as well.
No, that's right. You're right. Yes, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and then he's now going to be playing against them.
Well, yeah, that's going to be. Well, yeah. I mean, I think he's probably made the right switch, to be honest. You don't get many, international sides that are as good as Spain, especially as as good as the now they've got some excellent youngsters coming through their ranks at the minute, and this young lad's going to add to that talent. Obviously, in injuries, opened the door for him. Be interesting to see if he does get any minutes during this international break, or whether he'd just be like back up and kind of starting to get used to the first team environment with the international team. But yeah, I mean, 7 caps for the under-21s. He's also scored a goal for the under-21s as well for Spain. So he's he's obviously well admired by the Spanish, and that's why they've given him the option to make that switch when they did. And what a talent they've got! I mean, we both know Jose from El Cockerel,
Yes,
Spurs channel, and like I've said before on here, when we signed him, he was on one of our other shows and said to me on there that you've signed one hell of a player here. He said he's watched him play for the under-21s, and he was saying to me then, he is a phenomenal player. Bearing in mind at this time he told me that Dino wasn't getting into the team. Then Dino gets into the team, performs the way he does, and I think I said to Jose, I know why exactly you said what you said now, because he is an absolute top-rated talent. Unfortunately, it's been discussed by us loads of times. Will we keep hold of the player? Obviously, we all want to keep hold of the player. He does have that release clause. Like you've said before we came on, there's rumours that Real Madrid have triggered it or are going to trigger it, which those rumours are going to just be circulating now until something does actually happen. But unfortunately, him playing for Spain and called up for the first team is obviously going to put him in the shop window even more. Especially if he gets first team international recognition as well. Which, if you're an international manager and you've watched this guy this season, you wouldn't be worried by chucking him in. Such old head on such young shoulders. His maturity as a player is vastly advanced for his years, and if he's this good now, how good's he going to be in 5-6 years time when he reaches his peak? Absolutely world class, in my opinion.
I know you said there, and there's one thing that I wouldn't normally agree with you on here, and that is that he's made the right decision in changing allegiance to Spain.
I don't like it myself.
No, I don't.
I don't
don't
like it. I'm not a
personally.
fan of it. I'm not a fan of it.
No.
I know, obviously, Jebison. I think he's been called up as well, but I don't think we're discussing him tonight. But I think he's been called. He's been called up, hasn't he, by Jesse Marsh? But he's not actually on.
I could understand that.
But
I can understand, players that won't play for England, going
he
to.
has done though, Craig. He's in a similar position to Housen, isn't he? He has played under 21 and under 18 level, and
Yeah.
just like Dino has for Netherlands. But I'm not a fan of it, but I can understand why they do it. Like Jebison, if you look at the crop of English strikers coming through and the
Yeah.
crop of English strikers we've currently got, he's obviously weighed up the option. Plus, don't forget, he grew up from, I think, up until about the age of 13, he grew up in Canada.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably more of a game time move. If he wants international game time, he's probably got a better chance with them, hasn't he?
Well, the thing is, I would have said that if Dean Huijsen wasn't the player that he was, the Netherlands, being called up by the Netherlands and then changing allegiance to Spain would have been stupid because the Spanish team are that good, But in my honest opinion, in the case of Dean Huijsen, I don't think this is a stupid move. It's not a case of you're going to change allegiance where you could be playing for the Netherlands and not for Spain and just being sat on the bench or not even getting in the squad. Dean Huijsen could well play regularly for Spain moving forwards. Real Madrid, has been linked to him. There is he is going right to the very, very top, this lad. He is going to the very top. We all know that. We can all see that in the way he plays. So normally, yes, in most players' cases, it would be stupid to go from a team like the Netherlands where you might get a chance, although Dutch football is very, very high as well. It's very, very well regarded, of course.
Yeah.
Some great players have come through the Dutch, national team, and of course, when I went to the Ajax stadium, it's incredible. You'll see all that and the sort of players that they had come through. But
Yeah, I
in
mean,
case,
phenomenal players, isn't they?
oh yeah,
I
but
mean,
in
you look
case,
back at the Euros. Like, was it Euro '88 that they won? Marco van Basten and Ruud Gullit and
yeah,
an absolute. When you look back at the old, sort of like the last sort of 35 years or so, some absolutely phenomenal players played for Holland. I mean, you go back, to like World Cup '98. What a side they had there!
they
Ed
did, yeah.
Davids, Mark Overmars, Dennis Burkamp,
Still got a
Yap
great team
Sam.
now.
Yeah, they have. They've still got a good side now.
Mm.
Like Gakpo, he really impressed me at the last Euros. So, Holland, Holland, you're spot on there. Holland have had some excellent players over the years.
But Spain at the moment are on a different level. They are probably at the level, and I never thought I'd see this again, of or a reaching or approaching that level of what they were in 2010. And that's unfortunate for England, to be perfectly honest, because, we'd love to see England win a World Cup, but, we've now got the Spanish and, of course, the French, I think, is still dangerous.
Yeah,
Forget the Germans, the Dutch are dangerous. I think there's four teams really, well, three teams, including ourselves, that are really dangerous in European football, and that's the French, that's the
yeah,
Dutch, and that's the Spanish. I don't think the Italians aren't that great, the Germans aren't that great, but I think the Spanish are probably on a better level than all of them. I think the
yeah.
Spanish are definitely the best team in Europe at the moment. Regardless of Bellingham and Mbappe and the players that in the Netherlands squad. You look at Lamina, isn't it? Isn't it Lamina, the youngster he's just unbelievable. And you would say normally don't go to the Spanish team, Dean, because at the end of the day you wouldn't get in it. But he's that good. I think he will.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say,
Mm.
you give him another 5-6 years, he's going to be world class. He's going to be absolutely world
I
class.
think he is at the moment, to be honest.
Yeah, he's still developing. He's young. He's young, but you think how good he is now.
Yeah.
You put 5 years of game experience on top of that.
Well, exactly.
He's gonna be absolutely world class.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. Well, there we are. Well done, Dean Huijsen, getting his first call up to represent the Spanish team. He could well be playing against Justin Kluivert. You never know. But
You never know.
let's touch upon the other cherries that are going out on international duty. And of course, Ryan Christie is off to play Greece. So over to Athens and then welcoming them home just, a couple of days later. Quite a long journey, Greece, I think, about 4 hours, isn't it, by plane?
Yeah, it's not too much of a bad journey, I don't think. I
It's
imagine they'll already be out there as the game's tomorrow night.
Well, yes, exactly.
I imagine they're already out there, but yeah, it's just making sure he stays fit is my main concern on this one.
Yeah, I think he is the glue. He's a battler. He will, it did not surprise me that, he was called up to the squad and has gone, because he is a battler. He doesn't whinge, he doesn't moan, but sometimes players that don't do that, are carrying an injury and their performances go down and they're struggling and they just make it worse for themselves to come back. So, yeah, hopefully it's not too much of a bad injury that he's got. I think he's still carrying a little bit, but nobody was going to turn around and say you can't go, Ryan Christie, because there is Scottish players are a different. They got a different mantra, haven't they, about them? They got a different headspace. Whereas some players might say, "Well, got a bit of a niggle or something like that." It might be best. Scottish players are always going to want to play for their side. So yeah, fair play to him. Of course, we spoke about Dean Huijsen. He's off to represent Spain in the quarterfinals of the UEFA Nations League. Of course, England might be in it next year, depending on how we do in the group stage. Or is it 2 years' time? It's 2 years' time, isn't it? I don't know how it all works. This
I can't
Nations
remember.
I don't know how it all works, but of course, he's playing the Dutch, and of course, Justin Kluivert is in that squad as well. So over in Spain, I'm guessing it's in Madrid on the 20th of March, and then over to the Amsterdam Arena, or the Johan Cruyff Arena, as I should call it, just on Sunday. Somebody with a little bit more to travel, though, is Tyler Adams, and the US are facing Panama. I'm not sure where it is being held, but this is the CONCACAF Nations League. Panama, of course, the team that we played back in 2018 in Russia, where we beaten quite convincingly, to be fair. Minnows of international football, Panama, USA, of course, a lot more established. Not their priority sport, but it's getting there and it's growing. And Tyler Adams will be there and doing his business.
And in the other semi-final,
yes, the other semi-final, is going to be Canada versus Mexico as well. So the Mexicans, always a team that seems to always be at World Cups, but don't really they never really do anything, do they? Apart from go out quite early on. But Canada are an emerging nation, and of course Daniel Jefferson will be hoping to keep them emerging against the Mexicans. And then we've also got the Ukraine will be playing Belgium in their Nations League games. So Ukraine versus Belgium. I think this is a relegation playoff, isn't
Yeah, I
it?
was going to say it's got to be some sort of playoff because then they drop down a band and all that, isn't it? So
Yeah, I
yeah,
think Ukraine are in League B and could get into League A by winning these. But the Belgians, were very, very good side a couple of years back, have kind of slipped down. Their golden generation, of course, has gone. Ukraine, of course, very, very, very strong team, full of heart. Where these will be played, again, I haven't really checked much of it. Unfortunately, it's not going to be in Ukraine because of the ongoing conflict. But Ilya Zabania will be there wherever it is being hosted, and hopefully will be performing a lot better than he did at the Euros. David Brooks is going to be competing to get into the next World Cup. The first game will be at home in Cardiff to Kazakhstan before the trip to North Macedonia for Wales on Tuesday. North Macedonia, where is that? Answers on a postcard, please. Well, you could send me a postcard from North Macedonia. I don't know how sunny it is, though. Looks sunny by the flag. Of course, we've got some international friendlies as well for Alex Scott. The under 21s, he'll be off to France and then off to Portugal. So a nice little summer trip for him. To what's the seaside place in France called? I know what it is in Portugal, the Algarve.
Oh yeah, the Algarve. Is it not Marseille? Is it? No,
Marseille is very, very pretty, to be honest.
and that's south
Um,
of France, isn't it?
yeah,
Somewhere nice anyway.
yeah, it's nice. It's nice. It's sunnier than here. Milos Kerkez, well, he was always going to be called up. He's going away with Hungary to Turkey. But firstly, they welcome them to Budapest. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. A little bit further afar, though, Antoine Semenyo is off to Ghana. Firstly, they're playing Chad in on Friday, and then they're going to Madagascar. I don't think there's going to be any talking lions, talking giraffes. There's not going to be any, buddy flying a plane, no animals flying planes. But there could be very, very bad roads if Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond, and James May are to be trusted in Madagascar, as Ghana and Antoine Semenyo try to navigate those roads. I'm pretty sure they'll do it quite successfully. Also, Dango is off to Burkina Faso. They're going to be playing Djibouti. I'm sure I've said that correct. Sorry, Djibouti fans. Djibouti.
Djibouti.
Djibouti. It does sound very sexy, doesn't it? I don't know much about Djibouti, but again, answers on a postcard. If you want to send me a postcard from Djibouti, I will give you the address. So he's in Burkina Faso first, and then he's off to Guinea-Bissau, which is, I've got to be honest, a country I know absolutely square root of nothing about. But again, if you're from Guinea-Bissau, and I think I've said that wrong, but if you are from there, please send me a postcard and tell me all about it, because it's probably is beautiful, sunny, and maybe I should go there on my round the world trip one day. There we go. And of course, we spoke about Justin Kluivert. Justin Kluivert is, of course, with the Netherlands team. He's taking on Dean Huijsen. So, of course, the first game, I believe, is in Spain, isn't it? And then, then brings back to Amsterdam. So the city of canals and
might try and catch that one, actually, those games. It'd be interesting to see if they come up against each other.
Yes, it will be. It will be. And yeah, I do love Amsterdam, to be honest. I do love Amsterdam. It's good to see. It's good to see. If I was only out there now, I would definitely go. Tuesday night, going to watch Netherlands versus Spain.
And get a lift on Uncle's bus. Or
well,
train.
yeah, yeah, Uncle Kluivert's bus.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be great, wouldn't it? It'd be great. Well, I think that's all we've got time for, but we do need to reveal guest the Cherry. So let's bring it up, and I shall tell you a little bit more. Whoa, gremlins in the system. So, signed from Crystal Palace, a very talented left back with a good eye for goal from a set piece, represented Huddersfield, Portsmouth, Swindon, Aldershot, amongst a host of other clubs, was included in the Football League Second Division PFA Team of the Year 1998-99. Who is he, Matt? He is Jamie Vincent. There we are.
The late, great Jamie Vincent. Great player. Fantastic left back. Going back watching Bournemouth at that time, you know who the back four were, and it was, Young, Howe, Coxey, and of course Jamie. Excellent left back.
Yeah, most definitely. So, again, thank you everybody for joining us on this cherry picking. Like I say, hit the like, hit subscribe, hit the bell button. Listen to us on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, whatever you want. Hey, leave it playing all day if you want. We're not bothered. Share it with your work colleagues. Share it with your friends. Share it with your grandmother. Share it with whoever. But keep checking in for more cherry picking. From me, Matt, and the rest of the team, over and out, up the cherries. We'll see you soon.
Talksport Fan Network.
The ultimate on-demand destination for the UK's best fan-led football podcasts.
Want authentic supporter insight on all things Bournemouth? Follow Up the Cherries in all departments on the Talksport Fan Network.
Club-dedicated content created by the fans, for the fans.
Search Talksport Fan Network.